It is 8:37. Yes. I know we're going a little bit early, but here's why. We've got a guest in studio, and I just can't wait. Here's the deal. It's Richard Szerman. We know him, we love him, and we got to get to him. So let's talk about the traffic real quick. And here's the deal. Traffic is looking great. Southbound side of the 14, southbound side of the 5, wide open into the merge. Southbound 5, wide open all the way down into Burbank. Locals look great. Sierra Highway, looking at everything right now. Via Princesa, Soledad Canyon. It's all green right now with no reported accidents or problems.
Taking a look at your hometown station weather. Temperatures today here in the Santa Clarita Valley. Highs in the 90s. Looking like mostly sunny skies. Overnight lows in the 60s. But overall, a pretty nice day here in the Santa Clarita Valley.
Currently 68 degrees right here in Newhall.
98.1 FM and AM 1220.
We're not stalling anymore. We're bringing Richard Szerman in. That's what we're doing. Richard Szerman from Radius, how are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. As always, thank you for letting me come in.
Yeah,
I very much appreciate
we
it.
We don't even try to block the door anymore. We tried that for a while, and somehow you get in.
I go around back.
So
there's a heating vent on the roof too. I'll use that. I'm not proud.
So yeah, you Tom Cruise it into the studio, and then
That's the first time anyone has ever compared me to Tom Cruise, and I thank you very much. I'm taping a copy of this for sure.
What's new today? What's going on?
Oh, I've got something today. I usually come in and I tell you what's going on with the real estate market. We can certainly do that, but I've got something that's just a little self-indulgent that I'm sorry, I can't resist doing. Every so often, when you guys are nice enough to let me come on the air, I get emails because I give out my information on air. I'm pretty easy to find. And I like to be easy to find. And most of them, it's funny, the people who leave their names are usually complimentary and very lovely. The people who do it anonymously or have some weird handle, like in this guy, Cowboy74, which I think is hysterically funny. Sorry, Cowboy64. My apologies. I assume that's his age. Anyway, so if you're out there, Mr. Cowboy64, this was for you. He sent me the following email, and I just got to read it. Mr. Szerman, I heard you today on KHTS, and I can't believe you would say the housing market is at the top and about to go down when houses are selling for more than ever. This is in April.
Okay.
Now, good that he's listening. So thank you. I always appreciate that. Good to hear that he's a fan.
Okay.
Now, what I said, to be clear, and I stand behind it then as I do now, is I said the housing market is at its peak and it's about to come down. This was in April.
Okay.
I said it's maybe a little past it, but anyway, you clearly don't understand economics. Well, okay, but I've been doing this for 30 years, and I'm right more than anyone he knows, I'm sure, and I'm certainly right a lot more than I'm wrong about the housing market. But okay, fair enough. He's free to his opinion. The interest rate is the best it's ever been. Well, not exactly. It wasn't the best it was ever been in April. That would have been the year before. And it certainly isn't the best it's ever been now. And as the Fed is about to release again at its next meeting, which I think is going to start tomorrow, they're going to announce tomorrow, the interest rate's going up another probably 0.75%. So we're at 5.5 now. Mm-hmm. We're going to be over 6% here pretty quickly if that's what happens. And it sounds like it will. I fear that's what it will. And if you remember what I said was, I wouldn't expect anyone to remember what I said was, if the interest rate gets over 6% by the end of the year, we've got a giant problem. And that appears to be exactly what's happening. But he goes on. Everyone except you says the prices will continue to go up. Well, yeah, that's true. Matter of fact, I did a report about 3 weeks ago, where Realtor.com had just revised down their rosy output from 9.6 down to, I think, 5 point something, this year-over-year increase. It's not going to happen. The Mortgage Bankers Association cut their projection down to 3.5% increase. Everybody cut their predictions, including CoreLogic, which had it basically at zero. It's not what's going to happen. We've lost too much equity too quickly. I mean, in the last 2 weeks, we've seen about a 5% drop as a result of the interest rates. I mean, this is the steepest interest rate increase that we've seen in 40 years. I mean, the mortgage applications have essentially fallen off a cliff. So at the same time, inventory is increasing. So these are not good things. But this is my favorite part, though. This is my favorite. This is the part we read around the office most. Your paranoid nonsense makes you sound stupid. Well, that's just personal. That's not very nice. And I may be paranoid, but I think it's for good reason. I laid out those reasons. I guess he didn't listen to that. I'm assuming it's a he. I don't think a woman writes this. That's just me being sexist, I guess. But anyway, yes, I guess women could be just as stupid as men, but this feels like a guy. But anyway, so I'm just stupid. I know what I'm talking about, which, again, he's free to his opinion, but that seems kind of mean. You should learn how housing market works. I think you forgot something there, but how housing market works before you scare people. Well, okay, I like to think I've been doing this for a long time. I was also right, so I think I do know how the housing market works. But again, I appreciate his criticism. I don't know why he took the time to write this, but I suppose it's interesting that he sat down to take the time. And as far as scaring people, yeah, I'll cop to that. That is completely accurate. Yes, when I told you in April the housing market was peaking, and if you're having trouble with your mortgage, you need to get on it now, I stand behind all of those things. And if that scared you into action, as it did a few people, great. And for those of you who it didn't scare into action, who are in trouble in April, who are now in a lot more trouble now, I wish it had scared you into moving. I mean, that wasn't my stated intent, but yeah, call. If you're in trouble, you need to fix it now. The sky is, this is the end. The sky is not falling. You don't know what you're talking about. Now, I like that he would call me Chicken Little because I've never been described as little in my life, so I will take that.
Sounded like a little bit of a haiku at the end there.
Kind of.
A little bit, right?
I think kind of.
Okay.
I don't know that he's a poet, but he's definitely well on his way. And I like anyone who tells me what I don't know what I'm talking about in April, when as we sit here in July, that everything I said, literally everything I said, was completely correct. And again, it's not because I'm some great prognosticator. I just pay attention. I just read a lot, and I know what sources I've read that have been accurate in the past, and so I tend to put more weight on those than on others. And I will tell you, sources like Realtor.com and people who have a very, very self-serving interest in telling you that the real estate market is continuing to be fine, it's all fine, are going to tell you that. The Board of Realtors is going to tell you everything's fine. It's the best. Well, maybe it's not as fine as it was last week, but it's still the best market ever. And I get it. I mean, to what is that old expression? To a hammer, everything looks like a nail. I understand that. It's their job to broadcast sunshine.
I need to stop you with the hammer. I've never heard that in my life. What did you just say?
Well, I said to a hammer, everything looks like a nail.
I never heard that, and
I had a
may
very
have to use
strange
that.
grandfather, and if I did it with a Russian accent, it would probably sound a little bit more plausible. But it was also my grandfather, and he said crazy stuff all the time. He didn't speak much, but when he did, he would say the craziest stuff. And
Little
his English, by the
gems.
way, was perfect talking to other people.
Mm-hmm.
But whenever talking to me or the rest of my cousins, he became very Russian, as if he was like telling a bedtime story all the time. It was hysterical. And the other thing, not from Russia, from Poland. Even funnier. But just this is the people I come from. They're just insane. But so with all due respect to Cowboy64 over here, and I do appreciate his email. I do very much. But I think I will stand behind what I've said as we're now 60 days down the line, and everything I said was going to happen. The housing market has stalled. Prices have started to retreat. It's a nice way of saying going down. Interest rates have spiked, and they're going to get even worse because the Fed is suicidally determined to kill inflation if it takes the rest of the economy with it. And here we are. And as the added bonus to that, the other thing that I said, which he did not comment on, was that foreclosures are spiking because as the pandemic is winding down, a lot of those foreclosures that were put on hold are now coming out of the woods. And so we're seeing more and more and more of them, and the banks are getting vicious and foolish. I mean, we're seeing banks that are foreclosing now that absolutely should not because it's in the client's interest, because it's not in the bank's interest. The market is going down. And a lot of the banks haven't gotten this message either. So we just had one where we had a buyer ready, willing, and able. Everything's put together. Wells Fargo decided, we think we'll foreclose anyway. We realized we promised you that we wouldn't, and we know we told you that. And we know that we're breaking our word to you. But we're just going to do it anyway because that's what the investor wants, which is hysterical because they are the investor, which I think nobody knows. But that's a whole other story. And they're going to get themselves sued. And the first thing that's going to happen when we finally get to a point where we're talking about depositions, the market will be even worse shape then. If we get that far, is going to be Wells Fargo is going to get asked, well, why was this in your economic best interest to do this? And they're going to go, well, we were allowed to. Yeah, but that wasn't the question. Right. And they're not going to have an answer for that. What I see all the time, and this is why I love this email, this was such a good one, is that people refuse to look down the track. They figure if it's good now and it was good yesterday, then it'll definitely be good tomorrow. Despite all evidence in our faces, it'll still be fine. When I say to you, you cannot experience a 20 to 30% increase in housing by doing nothing. You didn't add on, you didn't remodel, doing nothing over the course of 24 months when the rest of the economy was stalled. And I were to say that is not sustainable, I think I'm right. And history has proven that I'm right. But it's not about me being right or wrong. It's just about getting good advice so that you can make good decisions yourself. This guy, I would hate to be any sort of realtor or anything for him, although if you're listening out there, I'll be happy to help you despite that. I take all comers, but even those who said nasty things about me. This guy's going to get himself in trouble. I hope he has lots of equity and is not doing anything but paying his mortgage and living his life. Because if he has a second, or if he's in default in any way, or if he has an adjustable rate mortgage or anything like that, he is in deep, deep trouble. And he's part of a lot of people who just don't know it. So if you're in trouble, for goodness sake, even if you're not in trouble and you just want to know, we have one in the office right now where he did not know that his wife, who passed away a couple of years ago, and he just let her handle these things, his signature's on it as well, took out a $12,000 loan 11 years ago. That has remained unpaid at a 10% interest rate for the last 11 years. So he probably owes about $30,000, maybe $40,000 on that loan now. He had no idea the loan even existed. He forgot. He was, his wife died. I get it. She took care of everything. She passed away. He doesn't, have a handle on this stuff. He had no idea. So there goes a lot of his equity. He has 4 other loans on the property as well. You got to know. People don't check their credit report, and that's bad enough. But you got to check your title report. You got to know what's going on with your house. Also, sometimes things crawl on your title. You have no idea were ever there to begin with. We've seen a ton of fraud. There's group after group after group. There's one I talked about on the radio previously with a couple in Canyon Country, where he's in all kinds of trouble. His stuff is just getting, but it takes them years for the regulatory bodies to catch up. So he got away with it. I mean, we stopped him in this particular case, but how many other people has he defrauded? And he just gets away with it because it takes so long. The reality is, if you do not take care of yourself in these matters, the sheriff ain't a coming to save you. It's not going to happen. There is no mortgage police force. Clients all the time, where can I complain about this? Who can I go talk to? Well, you can go out in the street and yell really loud. I suppose that's about as useful. You can go to the CFPB. Best of luck there. They'll culminate data, and if they get enough complaints, maybe they'll do something a decade from now. You can go to the local DA who'll say, this is not my jurisdiction, even if the house is in their town, whatever town that is. You certainly can't talk to the Little Sheriff's Department. They don't know what you're talking about. There's somebody threatening you with a gun. There's somebody parked in front of your house. That we can deal with. But mortgages, not our bag. And I get it. The Treasury Department, okay, go call the Treasury Department. Tell the Secret Service who's in charge of this, a lot of this sort of thing, or anyone in the Fed who's in charge of this. Tell them what you're going through. I'm sure they'll be very sympathetic. Best of luck to you. When they solve all the other crimes that are on their plate, they'll get to you. You have got to be proactive, and you've got to take care of your own stuff. And if you don't know, call me. I know. I'll show you how this stuff works.
And that being said,
please call. I'm at 661-714-1400. Again, Rich Szerman, Radius Agent. We help people out with their mortgages for free. We've been doing foreclosure defense for people for 30 years. We do it completely for free. We've had a lot of success stories. We're good at this. We do about 80% of the time we're successful, which is, I think, holds us in pretty good stead. Again, Rich Szerman, Radius Agent. 661-714-1400. And any problems you're having with real estate, if it's a title issue, if it's a mortgage issue, whatever your issue is, please bring it to me. The weirder, the better. I love stuff like that. I'm happy to help. The stranger, the better. I'm happy to help.
We know that part, yes.
Well, it keeps me entertained, and I like to think I'm helping people. So anyway, 661-714-1400. That is my personal cell phone. You can call me at that 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. I was just at Disneyland recently. My phone went off, and it was good news for a client. So while I was standing in line for the Indiana Jones ride, which was a lot of fun, by the way, I actually had more fun telling my client that we saved their house, because that was more exciting. And I was talking to the group around me in line, so they were excited too. So all of us were very excited.
You make friends everywhere you go there.
Well, I talk a lot, so it's how I pass the time. So it's yeah.
Rich Szerman, always a pleasure. Thank you for coming in.
Oh, thank you very much.
Appreciate the entertainment as well and all the good advice. Thank you so much.